So yeah, I've gone ahead to fold the two panels together. So that very one will serve as the back panel, while this one on top will serve as the front panel. So I've also gone ahead to fold the buttonhole area, that is the buttonhole and the button side. I've gone ahead to fold it, so I folded 2.5 inches. So the next thing I will do now is to start imputing the measurement, but I'll first of all mark my starting point. So the next thing is to start imputing her vertical measurement. So from her shoulder to her waistline is 16.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 16.5 inches as you can see me doing so. So after marking it, I'm going to connect the lines. So the next is her hip measurement. So from her waist to her hip is 9 inches. So I'm going to mark 9 inches and also connect the lines. So for this dress, I want her ruffles to start 2 inches below her hip measurement. So I'll mark 2 inches below her hip measurement plus 1 inch for joining of the ruffle. That's 3 inches. So I'm going to mark 3 inches. But the choice is yours. If you want your ruffle to start exactly at the hip line, then it's fine. But if you still wish it starts 1 inch below her hip line, then it's still okay. But in this case, I'm going to start joining the ruffle 2 inches below her hip line. So for her shoulder measurement is 15 inches. So 15 divided by 2 is going to give us 7.5. I'm going to add half inch for sewing allowance. That is 8 inches. I'm going to mark it. So for the neck width, I'm going to mark 3 inches. I'll come over to the back depth. I'll mark 1 inch. Then the front depth, I'll mark 3 inches. So the next thing I will do is to come down by 1 for the shoulder slope, and then I'll connect it to the neckline. So from that 1 inch which I marked for the shoulder slope, I'm going to come down by 7.5 for the armhole. That's her round armhole divided by 2 is going to give me 7.5, and then I will mark and connect the lines. Her bust measurement is 36. 36 divided by 4 is going to give us 9 inches. So from that 9 inches, I'm going to cover her armhole, and that will serve as the back armhole. So for the front armhole, I'm going to divide the 7.5 by 2. Whatever it gives me, I'm going to come in by half an inch. So I think it's going to give me 3.5 and quarter. So from there, I'm going to come in by half an inch and then connect the lines, and that will serve as the front armhole. The next is her bust measurement. Her bust divided by 4 is 9 inches. So I will add 2 inches for ease and sewing allowance, which is going to be 11 inches. So I'll mark 11 inches. And for the waistline, her waist is 31 inches. So 31 divided by 4 is going to give us 7.5 and quarter. So I'm going to mark 7.5 and quarter and add extra 2 inches for ease and seam allowance. So I'll move over to her hip. Her hip measurement is 41 inches. So 41 divided by 4 is going to give us 10 and quarter. So I'll mark 10 and quarter and add 2 inches seam allowance. And then I'll connect the lines. Remember I marked 12 and quarter at the hip line. So I'll just bring it down to that 3 inches that I marked there. So the next thing I'll do is to start cutting. So I'll first of all cut the back. Remember, we are cutting the back and front together. So I'll first of all cut the back before cutting the front. So after cutting the back, I will just put the back aside and then cut the front. After I was done cutting the front, I then turn it over to slit it into 2. As you can see me doing so, I'll slit it into 2 to have 2 channels for the front. Can you see that? So the next thing I will do is to go over to my machine to join the sides and the shoulder. So I'm done joining the sides and the shoulder. Can you see that? And I've also gone ahead to iron the button area. Can you see that? I didn't stitch it, I only ironed it. Because when I'm about to attach the ruffle, I will start from that edge. Can you see that? I'll start from there. So when I'm done attaching the ruffle to the dress, I'm going to stitch up the button area from the top of the dress to the down part of the ruffle. That is, I will stitch it together. So the next thing I will do is to measure the round of the hip. Can you see what I'm doing? I'll measure the rounds of the hip for me to know the amount of ruffle which I need to cut out. So here it gave me 52 inches. So I multiply 52 by 2, which is 104 inches. So what I will do is to cut 104 inches width for the ruffle. So here is the ruffle. So I've gone ahead to cut the ruffle, which is 104 inches width. So for the length of this ruffle, remember the entire length of this dress is 39 inches. So when I subtract 27.5 inches from 39 inches, we'll be left with 11.5 inches. We'll add 2 inches to 11.5 inches. That's 1 inch for joining at the top, while the other 1 inch will be for the hemming at the down part of the ruffle. So in all, it's going to be 13.5 inches altogether. So what I need to do is just to go over to my machine and form the ruffle. When I'm done gathering it, I'm going to attach it to the dress. Mind you, I'm going to start attaching it from that edge of the button. Can you see that? So I will attach it all around to the other part of the button area. I also hem the down part of the ruffle before forming the gather. So that is it. So guys, here is our dress. I'm done attaching the gather to the dress, and I also went ahead to stitch the button area. Can you see that? So for the sleeve, all I need to do is to measure the round sleeve of the dress. So whatever it gives me, I'll use it to cut out the sleeve. So here, I folded the sleeve into 2. I'm going to cut the 2 sleeves together. So I folded it into 2. I also folded it into 4 again. So I'll start inputting my measurements. So from the top there, I'm going to mark 9.5 inches. So half inch will be for the joining of the ruffle at the down part of the sleeve. So I'm going to mark 9.5 inches, and I'm going to connect the lines there. The armhole is 18 inches. So 18 divided by 2 is going to give us 9 inches. So I'm going to mark 9 inches plus extra 1 inch for sewing allowance. So from the top there, I'm going to come down by 3 inches to connect it. So from the top of that edge there, I'm going to slant it to meet to that 3 inches. Can you see that? So the down part of our round sleeve is 12 inches. 12 inches divided by 2 is going to give us 6 inches. So I'm going to add 1 inch for sewing allowance, which is 7 inches. So I'll just connect it to that 7 inches there, and then I'll cut it. The next thing I will do is to go back to my machine and close the sleeve. So remember, I will stitch it with 1 inch. When I'm done stitching it, I'm going to measure the down part of the sleeve. That's the down part of the round sleeve. So whatever it gives me, I'm going to use it to cut the ruffle. So I'm going to multiply whatsoever it gives me by 2. I'm going to multiply it by 2 to cut out the ruffle. So the sleeve ruffle. So can you see, I've gone ahead to stitch one part of the sleeve. Can you see that? So for the ruffle, like I said, I multiply what the round sleeve gave me by 2 to cut out the width of the ruffle. So for the length here with me, it's 5 inches. We're adding 1.5 inch for joining of the ruffle and the hemming of at the down part of the ruffle. Mind you, when making yours, if you want yours to be long, just like the one in the picture, you can as well cut out 10 inches, 12 inches, 11 inches, 9 inches, depending on how lengthy you want it to be. But for I just want it to be at that 5 inches. So that is that. And please guys, for the collar, I won't be filming it here because I already have a video on how to cut and sew a shirt collar. So please, I will just put the link in the description box below. Thank you guys for watching this video to the end. Love you.